Hey everybody, Dr. Chris Dost here. Welcome back to my channel, Biblical Languages and Literature. This video is the second video, really the second part of Lesson 1 of my new Biblical Hebrew series that's based on the Hebrew manual that I'm preparing for publication. If you're interested in watching the whole video, please be sure to go over to my Patreon channel where you'll get access not only to the full video and all the other videos in this series, but you'll also gain access to the manual itself as I'm writing it. In the meantime, however, please be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already as we march towards 10,000 subscribers. I'm so honored that so many of you have subscribed to this channel. Please be sure to ring the bell to be notified when I publish additional videos in the future, and click the like button to help spread the word on YouTube about this channel. All right, let's get started. Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about the vowel signs. If you haven't already watched the video on the consonants, please be sure to do that first, as we're going to be building on that in this lesson. So it's imperative that you really have some basic understanding of the consonantal system before we get into vowels. All right, so the vowel signs presented in printed editions of the Hebrew Bible were developed in the early Middle Ages. And by the printed editions of the Hebrew Bible, I'm referring here to Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia and Biblia Hebraica Quinta, BHS and BHQ respectively, which are the two most commonly used printed editions of the Hebrew Bible. But there are certainly others, the Second Rabbinic Bible and so on and so forth. But in all of these printed editions, the vowel signs presented are from a system that was developed in the early Middle Ages by a school of Jewish biblical scholars known as the Tiberian Masoretes, whose locus of activity was Tiberias, Israel. Other vowel sign systems were produced by other schools of Masoretes, but that's beyond the purview of this book that I'm writing, so we're not going to worry about that here. According to the chart at which we're going to have a look in a minute, each vowel sign represents a distinct sound except for one. But before commenting on the vowels, let's just survey the Tiberian Masoretic vowel signs. Okay, so the first one is kamatz, and as with almost all of the vowel signs, it's going to be written below the consonant with which it's connected. So kamatz is an A-class, A-type, long vowel. A-class, A-type, and it is long in length in the Tiberian system. We're just going to transcribe it with an A. Unlike many other grammars, we are not going to indicate whether a vowel is long or short in our transcription system. This is really helpful, and it's necessary when you get into more in-depth analysis of Hebrew. But since we're just trying to get you to read Hebrew right now, we don't want to make the early stages of our exploration into Hebrew unnecessarily onerous or burdensome by having you remember all these diacritical marks. For now, it's enough that when we want to Latinize or transliterate to render into Latin characters, when we want to Latinize or transliterate the kamatz, we're just going to use an A. Now, the English approximation, as you can see here, is the ah sound, like in father. And that is how it's pronounced in the modern Israeli pronunciation system. Now, the next vowel, patach, which is also written beneath the consonant with which it's associated, is like kamatz, an A-class, A-type vowel, but this one is short in length. Now, in the modern Israeli system, the short A and the long A are not going to be distinguished from one another, and so it's going to be pronounced like the ah in father. All right, the third A-class, A-type vowel is the chataf patach, which is different from the others in that it is the shortest. It is reduced in length. It looks like a patach, but next to it is a shva. If you look down to the bottom of the chart, the shva, that is a sign that indicates either no vowel or vowel reduction. So the chataf patach sign is a combination of patach and shva, and this is going to be our reduced or our ultra short A vowel. And we will still transcribe it as an A, but it's going to be a hurried A, like what we might encounter in the first syllable of the word analogy. When native speakers of the English language say the word analogy, they don't pronounce it analogy. That first vowel is rushed. And that's essentially how the chataf patach vowel is pronounced in the modern Israeli pronunciation system. Okay, now we leave the A class and go to I class vowels. And unlike the A class where there was only one type, the A type, in the I class, you can see from the chart, we're going to have the E type and then the I type. So let's start with the I-class E-type vowels. And the long vowel is represented usually as tsere yud. And this is like the E in the word obey. But the yud is not always necessary to represent a long vowel. Sometimes instead of tsere yud, we just get tsere. And that will make the same sound like the E in obey. So in both cases, I-class, E-type, long vowel. The I-class E-type short vowel is known as segol, and this oftentimes makes the E sound like in the word nest, a short E. And then there's the reduced or the ultra-short E vowel, the chataf segol, which is segol with a shva sign next to it, which is like the rushed E in elaborate. All right, going on now to the I-class I-type long vowel, we have chirik yud, which is a dot followed by a yud, and that will be the I as in machine. Then we have chirik, which we list as a short vowel, but sometimes the chirik can actually be a long vowel as well. It serves double duty, but treating it as a short vowel here, it would be like the I in mit, the I sound. So much for the I-class E-type vowels and the I-class I-type vowels. Let's go into our final class of vowels, the U-class, and we start with the O-type. So the U-class O-type long vowel is known as cholam vav, which is a long vowel like O in over. And cholam, written without the vav, is also a long vowel, like the O in over. After that comes kamatz katan, which properly speaking is a U-class O-type short vowel, like the O in offer. Notice that it is the same sign as kamatz, the A-class A-type long vowel. We'll learn how to differentiate these. Even though this symbol produces two different vowels, it will become pretty easy to differentiate when it's functioning as kamatz and kamatz katan. But if you ever are left guessing, just assume that it's a kamatz, that it's an A vowel, and most of the time you're going to be right. But over the course of this grammar, we'll teach you the rules and how to figure out whether it's kamatz or kamatz katan. All right, after that, we get the U-class O-type reduced vowel, which is chataf kamatz. So we have the kamatz sign with a shva next to it, and that is going to be a rushed O vowel like the O in command. Most people will not say come and, they will reduce it to command. Next, we have the U-class U-type long vowel, which is shuruk, which is like the U in super. And after that, the U-class U-type short vowel, which is kubutz, which can also make the long sound U like in super, but as a short vowel, it makes the short U sound as in put. And then finally, there is the shva that we mentioned above, which can either be a hurried vowel, which can make the sound, or it can be silent. How do you know when it's supposed to be pronounced as a hurried vowel and when it's supposed to be silent? Don't worry about that for now. We'll get into all these rules inductively. As it shows up in the grammar and it becomes necessary to talk about it, we will introduce these rules. As you can see from the chart, all of the vowels except for shva are organized by class, type, and length. There are three vowel classes, A, I, and U. Vowels of the A type all belong to the A class, as I mentioned earlier. The I and U classes of vowels are each divided into two types. In the I class, there is the E type and the I type. In the U class, there is the O type and the U type. Thus, there are three vowel classes, but five vowel types. Each of the five types include a long form vowel and a short form vowel. The A, E, and O classes also include a reduced vowel, which is even shorter in length, or hurried as we said before, than the short vowels. The vowels were pronounced somewhat differently in the Middle Ages than they are today according to the modern Israeli pronunciation system. The long A vowel kamatz and the short A vowel patach are pronounced identically according to the latter system, but were pronounced differently in the Tiberian system. While it's not important for our purposes that you learn the different manner in which vowels were meant to be pronounced in the Tiberian system, you will learn in the subsequent chapters that it is absolutely crucial to at least be able to correctly identify the class, type, and length of each vowel, as this information is critical for correctly analyzing forms and explaining how they morph or change. All right, let's get a little practice reading with vowels. So every consonant, except for word final consonants, must have an accompanying vowel sign, which is to be pronounced after the consonant. Take, for example, the